Benny Andersson was never the face that graced posters or front pages, yet he was the genius behind the music that defined an era. His journey began far from the glamour of pop stardom. Born on December 16, 1946 in Stockholm, Benny grew up in a working-class family where music was not a career but a cherished tradition. His introduction to music came at the tender age of 6, learning the accordion, and that spark ignited a lifelong fascination with melody, harmony, and composition. While others in his generation yearned for fame, Benny's focus was on understanding music's deeper structure, something that set him apart. By the time he was 10, Benny was already playing piano by ear, performing at family gatherings and school events. Unlike his peers, he wasn't after the spotlight, but was driven by an internal need to express emotion through sound. Early musical journey, forming the foundation. Benny's professional journey began in 1964 when he joined the Heap Stars, a Swedish rock band often compared to the Beatles. It was here that Benny's musical direction began to mature, marking the beginning of his evolution from a budding artist to a musical architect. With Benny's arrival, the band's sound transformed, achieving success with songs like Sunny Girl and Wedding. These early hits not only showcased his ability to write catchy melodies, but also refined his skills in studio arrangement and live performance. While his bandmates were the faces of the group, Benny became known as the quiet force behind their music. His understanding of both the artistic and technical sides of music allowed him to become the invisible yet undeniable pillar of the band's success. A fateful meeting, the birth of ABBA. Benny's career took a monumental turn in 1966 when he met Björn Ulvaeus, a fellow musician and lyricist. This meeting would change the course of music history. Both shared a deep love for intricate harmonies and music theory, which led them to collaborate on various musical projects. In the early 1970s, their partnership expanded when they joined forces with two powerful vocalists, Agnetha Fältskog and Anni-Frid Lyngstad. Together, they formed a band that would become a global phenomenon. Initially, they performed under the unwieldy name Björn and Benny, Agnetha, and Anni-Frid. But after a few struggles, they decided on the simpler and more memorable ABBA. It was with this new identity that Benny truly began to make his mark as not just a musician, but a sonic visionary, crafting the sound of a generation. As ABBA's success exploded in the mid-1970s, Benny's genius in the studio became the backbone of their sound. He didn't just compose songs, he built intricate soundscapes that carried emotional depth beneath their catchy pop melodies. With hits like Dancing Queen, Knowing Me, Knowing You, and Fernando, Benny perfected a style that combined lighthearted pop with poignant undertones, blending joy with melancholy in a way that resonated with millions. His perfectionism in the studio became legendary, spending hours, sometimes days, perfecting every note and harmony. For Benny, the music had to feel just right. It wasn't about trends or fleeting popularity. It was about creating something timeless. His intricate arrangements and his sensitivity to emotion made ABBA's music not just entertainment, but a reflection of life's complexities. The rise of ABBA, from global stars to personal strain. While ABBA's public life soared, their private lives began to fracture in ways that mirrored the music they created. By 1979, the first cracks appeared. Björn and Agnetha's marriage ended in divorce, and although they maintained a professional relationship, the emotional toll was palpable. Despite this, ABBA continued to work together, producing their Super Trooper album, though the sessions carried a heavier, more somber tone. Just 2 years later, Benny and Anni-Frid's relationship also came to an end. Their split was quieter than Björn and Agnetha's, but it had an undeniable impact on the band's dynamic. Benny's obsessive perfectionism, which had been an asset in the studio, now strained his personal relationships. His emotional detachment at home contrasted sharply with his fiery passion for music, and it left Anni-Frid feeling increasingly isolated. The breaking point, exhaustion, and emotional collapse. By 1981, Benny's personal life had reached a breaking point. He had fallen in love with Mona Nerklet, a television producer, and his relationship with Annie Fried began to unravel. The emotional toll of maintaining a facade of happiness for the public had worn him down, and he admitted that the energy he once poured into his music had become routine. ABBA's final years in the studio were marked by uninspired sessions. What had once been a creative partnership filled with passion and energy now felt like a job. Benny and Bjorn still worked together, but without the same enthusiasm. The Visitors album, released in 1981, carried the weight of this emotional distance. Songs like When All Is Said and Done and Slipping Through My Fingers were filled with a sadness that couldn't be hidden behind bright melodies. The cracks in the band's foundation had finally shown through, and though ABBA continued for another year, the magic had faded. ABBA's quiet departure, the silence that followed. Unlike many legendary bands that break up with dramatic fanfare or a final farewell tour, ABBA simply faded away. Their final single, Under Attack, released in 1982, failed to have the impact of their earlier hits, signaling the end of an era. There was no official breakup announcement, no final concert, just a slow, quiet disappearance from the public eye. Fans were left to speculate. Why had ABBA stopped when they were still successful? Was it creative differences? Personal drama? Money issues? For decades, these questions went unanswered, and ABBA became something of a myth, an iconic pop group that simply vanished without explanation. It wasn't until November 2024 that Benny Andersson opened up about the real reason behind the band's disappearance. Benny's truth, exhaustion, not betrayal. In a rare interview with The Guardian, Benny revealed the truth about ABBA's disbandment. "We were exhausted," he confessed. "Marriages were falling apart. The music started to sound unnatural, and we needed to stop to preserve ourselves." His candid admission struck a chord with fans, as it confirmed what many had suspected for years, that the breakup wasn't about betrayal or artistic differences, but emotional exhaustion. The band had given everything they had, but by the early 1980s, they simply couldn't go on. It wasn't a failure, Benny explained, but an inevitable unraveling. The passion that once fueled their music had diminished, and they could no longer pretend that everything was fine. This revelation brought clarity to the bittersweet emotions that had pervaded ABBA's final albums, validating the sadness and weariness felt in songs like One of Us and The Day Before You Came. Finding peace, Benny's emotional reflection. For years, Benny had kept his emotions hidden behind his music. He once said, "I gave my best lines to songs, not to the people who needed to hear them from me." In these words, he shared the truth about his struggle with expressing vulnerability. Benny's music had always been an escape, a way to channel his pain without confronting it directly. His emotional restraint, which had made him a brilliant composer, had also left him isolated. As he reflected on the end of ABBA, Benny spoke without bitterness. He acknowledged that their silence was a natural conclusion, a necessary step for everyone to heal. He had never sought fame or adoration. He had simply sought to express something real through his music. And now, after decades of silence, he was finally giving fans the closure they needed. The rebirth of ABBA, a new chapter in 2018. In 2018, after 36 years of silence, ABBA reunited to record 2 new songs. This shocking return to the music scene wasn't just about nostalgia. It marked the beginning of a new era for the band. The release of ABBA Voyage in 2021 represented not just a collection of new music, but an innovative new way to experience ABBA. Using motion capture and avatar technology, Benny and his bandmates created a digital experience that allowed their 1979 selves to perform live once again. ABBA Voyage was a huge success, attracting millions of fans worldwide and offering a new kind of concert experience. Benny had overseen every detail of the production, ensuring that the performance was as authentic and emotionally precise as their classic hits. Embracing the present, Benny's legacy in the future now. At 78, Benny Andersson reflects on his legacy with a sense of peace. His music, which once masked his pain, has become timeless, resonating with generations of listeners who feel the same emotions he once struggled to express. Benny's honesty in recent interviews has allowed him to confront the fragility that ultimately undid ABBA from within. His confession that the band's music was a reflection of their survival, not their perfection, gives fans a new understanding of their beloved songs. ABBA's music endures not because it was flawless, but because it was real, full of emotion, complexity, and the beauty of human imperfection. In sharing his truth, Benny has finally allowed himself the freedom to be seen, not as a perfect composer, but as a human being who, like all of us, carried his own burdens.